Fantasy creature project number 5. 5 is to add any additional layers such as parts from animals for your mouth or your nose or anything like that. So once you've done the first step, which number 4 was, where you use your patch tool or any of those things, after that, then we can add in additional things. And I did go ahead and add 1 on the last example just to show you what that was like. But I'll add another here. So I'm going to place embedded and I'm going to place an antler. And of course, you're going to want to use whatever tool is best, of course, to select that object. I'm going to go with select subject since that's usually my go-to here, and I'll go into select mask. That's looking pretty good in the Photoshop land, and we'll put this out to a layer. And then I'll go ahead and scale this down. So you need to decide if you are going to add something like this, if you want to continue to have it be that same color or not. In my case, I'm going to leave it alone, and I am going to go ahead and copy this. So I'm going to hold down Alt and drag, so I have 2, and then Control-T, right-click, and I'm going to flip this horizontal so that I have one for the other side. But clearly, we have different colors going on these. So I may need then to use some of those destructive tools. I could do a levels adjustment or something, or I could use the destructive tools. It's really up to you as to how you want to do those. But for this example, I'll use destructive tools. So I'm going to, for the left antler, which should be darker, I'm going to rasterize this layer so that I can then turn around and use my burn tool. And then I can burn on top of these to make them darker. There we go. And of course it will darken the darker areas more easily than it will darken those other areas. And then where you have your hair, if you're doing something like this, you need to go through and edit your layer mask to kind of make it look a little bit like there's, hair could be in there, or like it's buried in the hair a little bit. So I'm going to take a hard brush here, and I'm just going to make it really little, and I'm on the right one, right? Yeah, I'm going to click on my layer mask, and I'm just going to be like, oops, wrong way, black. I'm just going to like hit it a couple different times, just so it's not perfect on the edges. Just kind of going in there a little bit, particularly to get kind of those light areas out. Okay, so that's better. And now I'm going to go to the other antler and kind of do the same thing. This antler, this side is really in some bright hair, so I'm going to, oops, too far. Gonna kind of mix that a little bit better with that hair on this side. And then we could pretend, of course, this is coming from, between hair, and you can't really tell anyway, but anyway. All right. And that side does kind of look like there's light coming through. There's light on my head. This is lit up a little bit more than the other one. I could hit it with and I'd have to rasterize it if I'm going to do this, but I could hit it with a dodge tool to lighten it up a little bit right here, even more. See, then it's going to blend in a little bit even more with that hair there because it's going to be really light there in the middle. So you really need to look at your lights and your darks right now. So as you're adding these props, again, it's fine to do it destructively. Just know that you can't undo it other than in that moment. And then go ahead and change those lights, change those darks. If it's a real hot mess, undo a bunch of times or just delete that layer and bring it in again. Just so that you've got something else to work with there. Again, if you know you need to darken the whole thing, you may be better off to add an adjustment layer. So here I could do a hue or a levels adjustment and just clip it to this antler. So I'll right click and create a clipping here. And then I could just make that whole antler darker. See, like so. And that is going to darken it better than the burn tool is. But if you're just doing a little bit, your burn tool will probably be okay. I think this is going to definitely look better. Now, if you are seeing weird fringing around the edges, see there's some white there, then you can take your burn tool and burn them, but you're going to have to change the way the burn tool works. So when you go to your burn tool, which for whatever reason I can't find right now, here we go. It's burning the mid-tones, so that means the middle colors, not the light colors, so I can tell it to burn the highlights. And now, as I go at this, it's only burning the lighter areas. So, there we go. So that may help a little bit if you're just trying to get rid of those edges. You just kind of hit them really hard with that. There we go. That looks much better, I think. Now, I always put this back to midtones because otherwise I'll forget what it's supposed to be on. Not a problem in Photopea because next time you use Photopea, it resets everything, but in Photoshop, it does not. All right, so we kind of got those going on there. I think that looks pretty good. That's everything I need to add there. And we want to make sure these are all in that layer group folder. So let's turn that off. The only thing we should have outside of the folder right now are anything that you added that's like behind your person and not really part of your person, and your background. Otherwise, you should be good to go. Let's continue on with the next part.